Despite all the difficulties and hardships people have to face in life, there are still some with a kind heart to commit acts of kindness. And when you watch this video in its entirety, you will see it for yourself. A man who appears to be inebriated was crossing a railroad track with his bike when he suddenly tripped and fell down. He manages to get up and starts picking up his stuff from the ground, completely oblivious to the train speeding toward him. Just then, a railway worker starts running towards the man and tackles him off the tracks just before the train flies by. These fans watched in terror as a cat got stuck in the upper tier of a stadium. After freeing its neck, it had to cling on for dear life, dangling by its claws. People in the seats above tried to help, but they couldn't reach the cat to save it. But as the cat plummeted to the seats below, fans were able to catch it with an American flag, saving its life. These firefighters spotted an unconscious kitten lying on the floor of a burning house. A few moments later, the fireman puts an oxygen mask around its face and uses cold water to bring the unconscious cat back from the brink of death. This kind man decided to do an incredible act of kindness by secretly giving food to a homeless man and his son. He leaves a meal for them each behind them and then walks away. Watch how confused the homeless man becomes as his prayers seem to have suddenly been answered. The kind man then returns, only to do another act of kindness by giving them some money as well. This dramatic footage, which was broadcast on live TV, shows how a man was suddenly caught in a flash flood. As viewers watched in terror, he pulled himself up on top of a roof and held on for dear life. But thankfully, these heroic men came to his rescue and saved his life. A 21-year-old man by the name of Matt tragically died in a house fire.
From a little boy, he was always he had a huge heart.
But Matt's heart is still beating, only now inside the chest of another man, as Matt was an organ donor.
The heart that I grew up with and felt in all of my hugs when I hugged him, that it's still out there somewhere.
Now, his family finally gets to meet the transplant recipient and reconnects with the heartbeat of their son, who through his death gave the gift of life to someone else.
Thank you.
This mother is entering a jewelry store to sell her ring because she's struggling financially. But what happens next will shock and amaze you. The store owner asks her if she's only selling the ring because she needs money, and she responds by telling him that the ring was a gift from her mother, but that she needs the money and has to sell it. The man decides to give her the money for it, but in a beautiful display of kindness, he also returns the ring to her. And not only that, he also writes down his number and assures her that she can call if she needs anything else. An incredibly generous gesture that shows that there is still kindness out there. This turtle was extremely close to becoming a meal for a tiger shark. It was nearly in the shark's jaws, but these fishermen managed to drive the predator away. They then carried the turtle onto the boat and took it to safe waters to let it go. Spider-Man created a core memory for these kids when he handed them ice cream cones upside down. At the 2015 Rugby World Cup Finals, a young fan tried running towards his idol, Sonny Bill Williams, but got tackled by security. But in a very kind gesture, Sonny decided to stop the security and give the fan his medal. During the semi-final match between Croatia and England in the World Cup, these firefighters were watching intensely what was about to be the winning penalty kick, but at the worst possible timing, emergency called. But without hesitation, they all stood up and rushed to the rescue. This guy rides along the London canals on a handmade floating bicycle and collects plastic waste. It takes him 45 minutes to set up his bike, and the ride itself can be both dangerous and time-consuming, but that doesn't matter to him. His mission is to encourage people to say no to single-use plastic and make the world a better place. When a little girl fails to get the ball in the basket, her brother consoles her in the most heartwarming way. Then, he lifts her up to help her land a perfect shot. That is one small child with a big heart. This guy is a professional pole dancer, but he also helps disabled people by giving them haircuts and showcasing his hairdressing skills. When a young fan wanted Zach Randolph's jersey, he was more than happy to oblige. This girl was home alone with her dog as floodwater started to fill her house. She quickly put the dog in a plastic container and pushed it through the rushing water to her neighbor's rooftop. 5 hours later, her cousin paddled to the rescue in a kayak, and it was clear that the dog was her priority as she allowed it to be saved before her. A banker by the name of Joel Armstrong suddenly stepped in to do the handiwork when he caught a dozen-day-old ducklings from their nest outside his office. Their mother flew down earlier, stranding the newborns who were supposed to follow but were afraid to make the leap until the banker showed up. Together, the banker and the mother duck led the babies straight down the middle of a city parade and finally to their new home in the river. The governor of Minnesota signed a law guaranteeing free breakfast and lunch for all students in the state, regardless of how much money their parents make. And the kids who got to witness the historical moment were thrilled by this kind decision. When a locally famous ice cream man passed away, all the town's ice cream trucks gathered together and paraded through the streets to honor his memory. When it suddenly started to hail heavily, these guys let people into their shop to take shelter, but they weren't going to forget the poor pigeon who was also seeking shelter from the bad weather. This musician used her talent to spread joy to a bunch of children that have never before heard a fiddle, and they were filled with excitement by her act of kindness. After seeing that a goat was freezing, this boy warms his hands and transfers the heat to it in order to warm it up. These divers found a poor baby dolphin who was stuck in a net and decided to save its life. While this family was out for a walk, they suddenly discovered that a deer had fallen into the water. The poor deer was unable to get up on its own and was headed for deeper water where it would surely have drowned. But this heroic and quick-thinking father managed to pull the animal back to land just in time. When online comedian Carlos Davis and his brother spotted a woman paying for her petrol in pennies at the gas station, they decided to step in and offer her money to cover the expenses. At the time, they didn't realize how much of an impact their act of kindness would have on the woman, who unbeknownst to them was suffering from emotional turmoil as her husband had died just a week before.
My husband just died a week ago. We weren't like this. I didn't ask nobody for nothing.
You ain't got to cry. You all right.
Oh my God.
You okay?
God bless you. How do I thank you or repay you?
You don't have to, man. Forward. That's for you. That's for you, man.
A Turkish soldier found a 5-year-old girl in the middle of a war zone during the Korean War. The little girl had lost her entire family and was close to freezing to death, crying so loud that it seemed her lungs were about to burst. But then, this kind soldier decided to take her under his wings, and even though a military base wasn't the best place to raise a little girl, he gave all he had to make the girl feel at home and become a father to her until the war ended. Now, 60 years later, they finally meet again together with their families. The woman has started her own family now and has lived a happy and healthy life, all thanks to the man's beautiful act of kindness. That is all for today. Let us know in the comments which of these clips touched your heart the most. And while you're down there, remember to like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on.